It's time for Taking Care of Business on Midlands 103. With thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and Let's Talk Business.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Taking Care of Business. I'm Ronan Berry. This is Midlands 103, and coming up over the next hour, delivery is evolving and flexibility is becoming as important as speed. Colin Kennedy of DPD Ireland will discuss a new €5 million investment in a nationwide locker network and how out-of-home delivery is reshaping e-commerce and the last mile. Also, I'll be speaking all things leadership, confidence and capability building with Allyson English of Mody as she shares her entrepreneurial journey, her work supporting women in business, and how lean and digital can really revolutionise your business. Allyson will be taking part in many events too as part of Local Enterprise Week with Local Enterprise Office Westmeath next week too, and she'll give us all the details on that. And also, some of the staff in RBK, of course, headquartered in Athlone, are in some seriously cold water at the minute. Yes, I said cold water, not hot water. Find out why a little bit later on the show. But this evening we're going to speak a lot about Local Enterprise Week, which takes place next week, so begins on Monday the 2nd of March. And just to put in context the impact that our local enterprise offices have nationally. Back in January, they announced that they created over 7,261 new jobs created by Leo clients last year as well. That's a 7% employment increase on the previous year and a net employment gain of just under 2,500 people. It represented a 12th year of consecutive job growths for Leo clients as well. So again, it goes to show the impact they have, and you'll know from listening to this show the work that the enterprise offices in Laois, Offaly and Westmeath do on the ground, because there's not a week goes by that somebody on the show doesn't mention the ongoing supports they get from their local enterprise office, or indeed the start that their enterprise office gave them. So, like I mentioned Westmeath earlier, Laois and Offaly both have very robust calendars for next week. To find out all about Offaly and about a big conference that's taking place in Tullamore tomorrow, I'm delighted to be joined by Orla Martin, Head of Enterprise at Local Enterprise Office Offaly. Good evening, Orla.
Good evening, Ronan.
And Orla arrived in with a massive poster, and it has all the events that Offaly Enterprise Office have on next week spread right around the county. Some fantastic speakers, some real great insights to be gained, but lots of practical tools too. Take us through, Orla. What are the kind of key points from any business owner that's looking at their diary for next week going, what will I do, where will I go? What are the key things they should be looking out for?
Thanks, Ronan. So I think firstly, to take a little bit of time, a few minutes just to go through the schedule, because it's a fantastic schedule and we really have something for business owners at every stage of their business. So kind of we've 14 events taking place around the county. And I'm going to highlight probably about three ones I think that would be of real benefit to businesses. So on Monday, lunchtime event, we have Resilient Business in 2026, Real World Challenges and Practical Solutions, Local Solutions. So Susan Hayes-Culleton is going to deliver that. And it's looking at the impact, looking at the challenges affecting business nationally and locally here in Offaly, and then mirroring those with the supports we have in the local enterprise office. Like, for example, people talk about the rising energy costs. So there's the likes of the Green for Business and the Energy Efficiency Grant. People are trying to manage maybe issues with attracting the right kind of staff. So sometimes digitalisation and robotics can help with that. We have supports there and a range of supports to help businesses become more efficient. So that's a lunchtime event, and that's kind of dealing with the here and now. The next one then I just wanted to draw attention to is a Leadership in an Age of Chaos event we have taking place on Wednesday. So again, a lunchtime event, 12 to 2:30, and we're delighted to welcome Mark Little to Offaly for this event. So Mark Little, people may remember him either as a journalist or as an entrepreneur, but very, very insightful. He's frequently on national radio, and he's going to guide us through the how leaders can navigate disruption with clarity and purpose. Very much looking at what's happening internationally and how leaders can adapt to it. So I suppose that's the future focus. Susan on Monday will be looking at the current challenges. Then this is the future focus. And for this, the Leadership in an Age of Chaos event with Mark Little, we're saying to all business owners of every size and managers in large multinationals or semi-states or different organisations, organisations, this is a fantastic free event and a great opportunity to learn more about how they can kind of deal with disruption. So, and then on Thursday, we have the Give to Gain. It's the power of women supporting women. Give to Gain is the theme for this year's International Women's Day, which does take place at the weekend. So we're getting in ahead of it and we're running it during the week there, running it on Thursday. So it's an afternoon tea and very insightful discussions there. So we're delighted to welcome Paula Fitzsimons. I'd say a lot of your listeners, Ronan, will be well familiar with Paula, with the Acorns programme or Going for Growth or Back for Business. And Paula we're on the panel, we're bringing some Offaly people who've worked with her, so Allyson Ritchie, Anne Cusack and then Niamh Dooley of BSL. They'll be joining in a conversation there. But just the practical ways in which women can support other women's businesses and support them. And then on Friday, we have the Founders Friday with the guest there is Paul Mahon, What Footprint. So that takes place 6 to 8 p.m. And obviously we're delighted there to deliver that in partnership with All Pro Recruitment and the Tullamore Rotary Club.
And that's taking place in Eugene Kelly's in Tullamore. And again, another free event because there are 4 fantastic speakers. Susan Hayes-Culleton, I mean, she's a straight shooter. She tells it as it is. And I think that's what people always pick up from Susan. I've seen her at different events, both as MC and as a keynote. And she really kind of makes you sit up and go, right, Mark Little again speaks for itself as an entrepreneur, but as somebody who is very much ahead of how social media and algorithms and the messaging that comes out from theirs too. Paula Fitzsimons, of course, a frequent guest on the show, as indeed was Paul Mahon. So lots of really inspiring people there, great events, but lots of practical supports for businesses too, because ultimately it is back to that piece of job creation, of helping businesses get started, grow, expand in whatever way they need to.
Exactly, because we were even looking back over last year, 2025. Leo Offaly, we trained 960 people, in enterprise training and events, which is very, very good. We have a lot of other clinics going on as well for people, business advice clinics in Burr and Eden Derry for people considering setting up their own business. We have an AI online mentoring clinic. So clinics are one-to-one mentoring. So people get to, book a 50-minute slot and, sit down and discuss their business in confidence. We have a tourism mentoring one as well. And then it's great. On the Tuesday, we have the Student Enterprise Programme as well, the county final. And that's always fantastic. And it's great to see over the years that the type of products and businesses that the students are setting up and growing in confidence each year.
Yeah, that support and encouragement at a young age can be a game changer for people. And it's fantastic to see so many face-to-face events. We finally got over this thing of the virtual, get people back in the room and get them talking. But you're kind of stealing a march in other places. You have an event taking place in Tullamore tomorrow, quite a significant conference. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we're delighted. We have the Offaly Green Energy Conference taking place tomorrow in the Tullamore Court Hotel, and we're delighted. So I suppose behind the scenes, and there's been an awful lot of work being done on very cutting edge green energy generation and battery storage, and also a lot of green tech as well. So this conference is a great opportunity to demonstrate the distance we've travelled over the past number of years. I mean, Offaly is showing up in, like, January was the county with the highest amount of renewable energy being produced, and frequently coming up in the top 3. But what we're really pushing is for the economic development and the associated job creation. So we have a lot of big industry coming tomorrow. We also have the big law firms. We have, the semi-states. We have huge panels of speakers and people genuinely interested in this topic. And, it is all about creating for a sustainable future for Offaly, and great strides have been made over the past number of years, and it's an ideal opportunity to showcase this. And Offaly is certainly coming up on the radar nationally and internationally. So
do you see that as it's a kind of a key pillar that if we're looking at attracting, say, even if it's FDI companies, one question will be, Is there an energy source? Is it renewable? How close by is it?
Exactly.
This is beginning to try and answer those questions for anybody that's looking at Ireland,
Yes.
or indeed in Ireland looking at Offaly as
Yes.
a potential location.
Yeah, sure. And exactly, Ronan. And it's also looking at the infrastructure as well, the space, Offaly having space to grow. Then we're also there's possibility of that, well, not the possibility, but, all the talk about the water supply, the increased water, and that pipe would go through Offaly. So potentially you'd be looking at green energy, the infrastructure, the space, the water. It's all about looking for, positioning Offaly for for a sustainable future.
Absolutely. So many areas we could touch on. Tourism is again another, there'd be a focus on that with different mentoring schemes and different opportunities. So really, anyone that's listening, if they have a business or a business idea and they're thinking, it's not for me, what would you tell them right now?
It is for them. They should come along, definitely. And we appreciate fully that everyone's very, very busy, but it's a great week to step back for a little bit, invest in your business, connect with other people, business owners, and everybody comes back, leaves any of these training or mentoring sessions or networking events and saying they picked up a few tips, and that could be something could stimulate a much bigger investment or opportunity for the business.
Super. That's the starting point. And a lot of those events are, they're relatively short. They're a couple of hours, definitely worth out of anybody's day. Orla Martin, Head of Enterprise at Local Enterprise Office, Offaly. Thanks so much for coming this evening, and all the best with Local Enterprise Week next week.
Thank you, Ronan.
Now, time for a quick break. After that, we're going to hear about an exciting new venture that's just been launched by DPD Ireland.
Taking care of business. With thanks to the Local Enterprise Offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
Parcel delivery is evolving rapidly, driven by e-commerce growth, changing customer expectations and the push for more sustainable logistics. As DPD Ireland celebrates 40 years in business, the company is investing over €5 million in a new nationwide locker network designed to give customers greater flexibility and control. I'm delighted now to be joined by Colin Kennedy, Chief Innovation Officer at DPD Ireland and Managing Director of Pickup, about the future of delivery and how out-of-home services are reshaping the last mile. DPD Ireland had revenues of around €24 million last year and delivered over 42 million parcels through their 37 depots nationwide. Good evening, Colin. We'll dive straight into it. Talk to us about Pickup, guess where the idea for it came and why DPD has decided to launch this business now.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ronan. Yeah, I think the key thing that we're seeing really is that there's been a significant shift in how people want to receive their parcels. And for a long time, it's been all about really getting their parcels delivered to their home in Ireland. But that's really changing, and it's mirroring a trend that we're seeing right across Europe and the UK. Consumers are increasingly preferring what we call out-of-home delivery. Now, this means that their packages go to convenient locations like, the local shop, a service station, or soon there's going to be dedicated parcel lockers all across the country. And that's why we're delighted now to be announcing DPD Pickup, which is our out-of-home offering. Consumers, they'll start to see locations rolling out all across the country very soon. The shift is really, it's fantastic because it genuinely puts the consumer back in control and puts the power back in their hands. It's all about convenience. You choose when and where you want to pick up your delivery, and it simplifies the whole process of online returning your purchases online. As we all know, that can be a real pain point when people are buying online. What do I do when it doesn't fit me? How do I get it? How do I get it back? So it's about simplifying that whole process. And crucially, and you mentioned it in your introduction there, it's a much more environmentally friendly way to deliver, helping to reduce our overall emissions. So, and DPD, it's a brand that people trust and love. So therefore, DPD Pickup will really be a complementary offering, providing really the same great reliable service that our customers expect from DPD.
When this rollout starts, how quickly will people begin to see these lockers appearing, and in local towns or villages, where exactly might they see them?
The truth is you're going to see them everywhere. 2026 and 2027 are going to be the year in which lockers become prevalent in Ireland. So DPD, we're going to be rolling out our network from April, and we'll have full nationwide coverage by the middle of the summer. And what that means is we'll have close to 1,000 locations across the country where you can get your parcel dropped off or do your returns. And that's going to increase rapidly because there's it's partly to do with the advent of these re-commerce platforms as well. People you'd be familiar with like TikTok Shop, Vinted. So they really are driving a lot of the requirements and a lot of demand for out of home. So by next year in 2027, we'll have well over 1,500 locations across the country. So you can imagine that's gonna give us visibility everywhere across the country.
Talk to us about the technology behind the lockers, both I suppose in terms of security, in terms of like to be able to track parcels and that type of stuff, and how they work, and I guess the user experience in using the system.
Yeah, the user experience is absolutely essential to making this work. So we're going to be building some really nice and really fantastic technology behind all of this. It's going to be driven all through apps. So you'll be able to use your app to go to a locker or go to a shop, present your app. On the app, there'll be a barcode. The shop will be able to scan the barcode as with the lockers. We're also going to have the ability from within the app to open the locker doors automatically without even touching the locker. And one of the really fantastic advances that we're going to make is that if you want to send a parcel, come Q3 of this year, you won't even need a barcode label to do that. It's going to be completely labelless. So the technology is really going to be right out there. Even though Ireland is probably last coming to the party when it comes to out of home, it's really prevalent all across Europe and the UK now. There's some advantages with coming to the party late in that we're going to really start right at the forefront of the technology. With regard to security, we're lucky that in Ireland we don't have a significant problem with parcel theft. We, as you say, we deliver over 40 million parcels last year, and we've a theft rate which is less than 0.00022% of parcels. So it's really small. However, not quite the same in other jurisdictions. In the UK, for example, there's a growing issue with what they call porch piracy. And then consumers are now turning to parcel lockers in the UK to mitigate the risk of theft. And it's particularly prevalent as well. But in some, we've seen some figures whereby some of the property managers who run some of the large estates in the UK are seeing a 60+% reduction in theft of parcels once they've been deposited in these secure parcel lockers.
Absolutely significant indeed, and I'm sure DPD being part of a wider kind of cross-European group, you've lots of evidence here you can work on. You touched on stuff like re-commerce. Does it offer the opportunity then down the line for things like, say, medical products and stuff, medicinal products even, to be transferred and ultimately saving people maybe trips into towns or trying to get to certain locations, especially if they're working or the hours they can access places are restricted?
Yeah. And that's the whole beauty of out of home. It's a 24/7, 365 mechanism for getting what it is you want and what you're buying online. So convenience is absolutely at the heart of everything that we do. So as you mentioned, whatever it is, we can get that delivered to your locker. You can come and collect it anytime suits you. On your way home from work, when you're out collecting your children from school, going to a DPD pickup locker is really going to be as convenient going forward as dropping into the local shop for a pint of milk on your way home.
Take us to the business side of this. It's a €5 million investment by DPD into this service. What's it likely to do long term in terms of job creation, or what are the key benefits you see it bringing to the DPD group?
Out of home has been identified through the numbers that we're seeing across Europe as the largest growing market sector in the parcel business. So to give you a kind of a feel of what that looks like, last year there were 22 billion parcels, would you believe, delivered across the EU, and already across the EU, 8 billion of those, 8 billion were delivered to out of home. So as you can see, it's where the growth is. It's where the parcels are really growing. As you mentioned, us as a business, in Ireland, obviously, we're a significant employer. We currently employ somewhere between 12 and 1,800 people, and our growth has been really phenomenal. As you mentioned, we're 40 years in business in 2026. So, we're going from strength to strength, and this is only going to reinforce our service levels and our employment levels within the country.
So straight in, top of the market, that's the goal.
That's the goal, right in at the top. As we are in what I'm now calling our premium business, we're the highest level of service, and our customers are going to expect the exact same from DPD Pickup, and that's what we're going to do for them.
Anybody listening, just keep an eye out, because undoubtedly we'll hear a lot more about that service in the coming days and weeks as well. Sounds really interesting and lovely to hear it based on the evidence you're seeing from Europe and across the world, and 42 billion packages in just 1 year alone. That's going to just keep growing and growing, I'd say. So definitely lots more to come on that. Colin, thanks so much for your patience this evening and for coming out with me, and we'll check in with you again about Pick Me Up down the line.
Look forward to that, and thanks for having me on, Ronan.
An absolute pleasure. That's Colin Kennedy there, the Chief Innovation Officer at DPD Ireland and the Managing Director of Pickup. And you've heard Colin say it there, the number of outlets. Really, the rollout is going to be rapid. It's going to be fast. It's going to be very visible right across the country, and definitely one to watch and one we will follow. Time for another short break. After that, we're going to learn a little bit about what's happening for Local Enterprise Week with Westmeath Local Enterprise Office, but also learn about one of the keynotes that's going to be speaking at that, Allyson English, who is the Managing Director of Mody. That's all coming up in just a couple of moments.
Taking care of business with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
Still to come, you'll find out why staff members from Athlon's RBK are in some serious cold water in the month of February. But before that, we've touched on Local Enterprise Week that's taking place next week. We heard from Orla Martin about a fantastic range of events that are taking place in Offaly. In Westmeath, a huge schedule of events too, and one of the MCs at one of those events is going to be Allyson English of Mody. And Allyson, you people know formerly of Jigsaw Consulting as well, and somebody who's well known in lean and digital transition all across the Midlands and beyond as a consultant and as just an all-round great person and a great networker. So Allyson, you're welcome back to Taking Care of Business.
Thank you, Ronan. I don't know how to answer that now. Yeah, there's no pressure now, yeah.
No pressure. You don't do pressure anyway. Take us through Mody. It's relatively new. Is it October last year that you officially launched that? Talk to what it is and who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, October last year. Yeah, we've launched a new website. We've got new image, new graphics. Still the same old people though, I'm afraid, yeah. But we're still delivering on the lean and the digital and the management development. And obviously we've built relationships, really good relationships with the local enterprise offices up and down the country. And we hope to continue that relationship now and also with Enterprise Ireland.
That area of lean it's an area you've been very passionate and very outspoken about for many years as well. The message is finally getting through, I think, to nearly every business now, or is it?
Yeah, I think it is actually. I was with a group of women this morning and we were talking about this and I had said to one of them, I'm going to try and keep the word lean out of the presentation just because there was, and there still is to an extent, that stigma around lean only being for manufacturing, and it's not, okay? It's for everyone. And we're starting to see that now. I mean, it's spread across many service providers, hospitality, retail, because they can all see the benefits of it now. And they're starting to come on board with understanding what it can do for their business.
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, if you have a manufacturing business, you want to be more efficient and better at handling stock, at handling parts, people. But it's when people start seeing then that actually so much time is spent routing around hard drives or online cloud drives as well. So how you file your documents, how you issue documents, there is massive savings to be made for any company, really. Yeah,
100%. I'm actually working with an IT company just now, and that's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at that whole folder management structure, the whole naming protocols, how you organise your folders and how you can easily get in and out of them and access them. And that's all part of lean.
Absolutely. And most people don't even have a convention for how you should save a document. Yeah. And anyway, we go down rabbit holes in that one. I'm sure people are listening going, oh no.
I could talk about this for hours.
That's my business, or that's my life as well. But let's look specifically though at, from Mody, like the things you do, like you work very closely with Enterprise Ireland and the IDA in terms of delivering those, because the good news in this is there are actually some amazing supports out there for businesses. There's
some fantastic supports, and I was actually just speaking with someone this morning. You know, Ireland as a country is absolutely amazing at funding, and also the local enterprise offices. It's a case of tapping into this, and it's a case of making people aware that these funding, availability for funding is out there, and who to go and contact and how to reach out and find out more about them. That
initial kind of step into looking at lean, probably not a huge cost then to a business if you do avail of those grants and you get that right advice. Is that a message that people need to hear?
I think so, but when we talk about cost as well, Ronan, let's not forget there's a time commitment here, and I always make that very, very upfront when I'm speaking to clients who are looking to come on the programme, because yes, there is a good area there for funding, but you have to remember there's a time commitment here.
Time and resources and staff resources too. Digital kind of capability, digital transformation is kind of really closely linked with lean. Are they effectively becoming one of the same thing now? Because to lean up most businesses, do you need to really look at the digital side of things too?
Well, we always say to everyone, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, but don't automate a bad process. So you should always start with your lean first. Look at what you're currently doing, strip back all the things that you shouldn't be doing or don't need to be doing before you start looking down the digital. We always talk about, lean creates it creates clarity, whereas digital creates consistency. So it's always about understanding what your processes are and what you need, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, strip back what you don't need and then start to look down the digital route.
So if the effort goes in at that early stage, it makes the digital piece that bit easier or more accurate.
It makes it more accurate because then you're not starting to try and automate things that you don't actually need to be automating. And one of the key messages that we delivered today actually in one of our sessions was understanding what brings value to your customer. And if it's not making you money and the customer doesn't want it, stop doing it.
Which sounds like the most common sense thing ever, but I think if a lot of people, 2 weeks ago I spoke to Dr. Anya O'D about productivity, and she said, do your own audit, and she was kind of alluding to that as well, look at what you're doing yourself that's not adding value to your role or to your business or the service you're providing as well. Understandably then, how you mentioned to start, leadership too, because just going in and looking at a business's processes, you could be kind of, literally poking a stick into long established cultural norms, stuff like that. That must be great fun. Yeah,
it's very challenging, yes. and part of that, of what I'm dealing with just now, it incorporates that. Because again, people are doing a good job. Nobody's there to criticise. We're there to observe. And we always start that conversation with, everything you've done to now is great, but there's always room for improvement. So it's about bringing people along with you on that journey. It's not about, as you say, poking a stick at them. It's a case of bring them with you, engage them, make them feel valued, and bring them along in that journey to understand how they could improve what they're currently doing.
Do you invariably find that actually when people are aware of what's happening, the good it can do, and maybe some of the burdens it might ease on them, do they actually engage then? Because people probably think, it's going to make people want to leave or change jobs or change roles, but it's probably the opposite of that.
Well, again, you'll find, if people want to change, they're going to change, And again, it's about the messaging and how you get that across, that you're bringing them with you. It's not a case of you're trying to alienate people. You're trying to bring them with you and you're trying to coach them and show them a better way of doing what they're currently doing. And we find that that's encouraging. You'll always get the people who want to vote with their feet, and that's a given, But I think, the majority of them, people just want to come to work and do a good job, And they need to understand how they do that.
How do you work with companies then to ensure that they sustain the gains they've made with lean? That if you come in and let's say it's almost like a sprint scenario where you've done the consultancy work, you've reviewed their process, you've brought in maybe a new digital software, a digital tool, and then you have to kind of separate it because they can't have you forever. How do you ensure that they can continue and that they continue to kind of push for that improvement all the time?
I do think it's back to the messaging and it's back to the engagement, okay? So if you can bring people along with you that they can see the benefit, ultimately people want to know what's in it for them, And if they think that it's going to benefit them, it's going to benefit the customer and secure jobs, then you tend to find people will want to come with you and they will keep that momentum going when you've left. Again, if you instill that training well, then they will keep that. They'll keep that on board. I've still got clients that I visited 7 and 8 years ago that are still asking the question, what would Allyson say about this? Would she say this is still lean? And that's really encouraging for me. Yeah.
That's a great question. That's a great question. Is there a standout lean moment in your career so far? Because I know with a lot of lean, you look for the feedback from the people who are doing the work, and often the best ideas come from the shop floor, the person who did it. Is there anything that stands out that you go, wow,
I've got hundreds I could tell you about.
I'm sure you do.
But one in particular that always sticks with me is a client that I worked with down in Kerry. And it was a family-run business, and he had told me at the time, he'd came to one of our workshops and he told us at the time, we're not making profit here, and if I can't get this to work this year, I'm afraid we're probably going to shut the doors. And we worked with him for just under a year, and I'll remember it to this day. It was the October bank holiday, and he phoned me. I was in Scotland at the day, and he phoned me and he said, I just wanted to phone you and let you know we've just had our last set of yearly accounts, and we've made a profit this year. And I was a mind-blowing moment for me, because I just thought, I was delighted for him. Now, I'm not saying everything that I did or we did made that difference, but it certainly had an impact.
Yeah, and it's an assumption that all businesses are making a profit. It can be an extremely challenging environment, even for the very best of people. But we mentioned the local enterprise offices too. Next week is our local enterprise week. You are emceeing an event, I believe, for Westmeath. Leo, tell us more.
So it's International Women's Day. It's on Friday the 6th of March, and it's in the Castlevarra Hotel in Castle Pollard. I'm super excited about this. I'm really looking forward to it. We've got some fantastic speakers with us. We have Catherine Kivney.
She was on the show about 2-3 weeks ago,
She's great. So she has...
There's at least 3 of her, she's definitely cloned.
So she's got hen.ie, she's got the Lochna Valley Cottages, which is near us, which, that's the appeal. We've got, it's a tri-county event, so we've got Leitrim, Longford and Westmeath. So we've got speakers from each of the counties. We've got Carol McGowan from Heartfelt Gifts. We've got Anya Farrell from Anya's Boutique in Longford, and Elaine Bradley-Ryan from Ideation Marketing. Super excited about this. I was just speaking to Katrina today at the local enterprise office in Westmeath. So I think we've got about 80 signed up for the event so far. So get onto the website, ladies, because it's going to be a great day.
How important are events like that, for female entrepreneurs in the Midlands?
Yeah, I think it's pivotal, because again, we're creating that space for conversation, we're creating that space for networking and creating that space for learnings. I think that's invaluable.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, getting somebody like Kat Kivney to speak to people will leave people going, wow. She was with me about 3 weeks ago on the show, and when she went out, I was like, oh my gosh, And at the very end, she threw in, by the way, I'm also doing this, and all these other ventures. And then I saw another one in the meantime. So, and again, all local based, all around the greater Westmeath area as well. But the Leos, they do play such a crucial role in businesses right around the region. And you said you're very tightly linked in with them too, in terms of delivering that for customers too. Your message to any business owner, I asked Orla Martin the same thing. Anyone who's listening who goes, no, maybe it's not for me, maybe I shouldn't approach them. What would you tell them?
Don't be afraid to ask. There's something in it for everyone, whether it be mentoring, whether it be coaching, whether it be training programs, whether it be funding. Go and ask, ask the question. And even if it's not something there for you, they're more than happy to sit you down and talk to you one-to-one and explain what other things could be available for you. So don't hesitate. Absolutely not. They're there. That's what they're there for. They're there to help.
As I said, jam-packed schedule for next week. So www.localenterpriseoffice.ie, then /be Laois Offaly Westmeath, and you will see that full range of great events, workshops, mentoring opportunities that are coming up, with some fantastic speakers coming to the Midlands to speak to such audiences. Allyson will be emceeing that event, of course, next Friday in the Castlevarra Hotel. I say check out those events. Mody.ie, MODY.ie is the name of Allyson's business. Give them a look out there too and give them a follow. Allyson English, thank you so much for that this evening.
Thank you so much, Barry.
And the very best of luck next week in the... Go on, you can correct it if you want.
Do you know, I did that the last time I spoke to you. Thank you, Ronan.
I get loads of emails that say, thank you, Barry, and it's gas. I just laugh. It's a good one. So no problem, Allyson. We'll talk to you again soon. Time for a quick break. After that, I'm going to tell you, or you're going to find out why people from RBK have been in a bit of cold water for the month of February.
Taking care of business, with thanks to the local enterprise offices of Laois, Offaly and Westmeath. Find us on localenterprise.ie and let's talk business.
Cast your mind back to last week when I spoke to Kevin Scully of the Merry Mill about the shocking amount of flour that is not produced in Ireland that's imported back in. And lo and behold, like, we put it up on Instagram and it got huge engagement as well. And the next day, the government announced a major new strategy about developing large-scale industrial flour mills all across the country. And I'm not saying they were interconnected, but talk about timing. As I say, Kevin's piece really caught people's attention, that I think many people assumed the flour they're using to make their pancakes, as last Tuesday was Pancake Tuesday, was Irish-made. Kevin even points out a lot of Irish grain gets exported to the UK to get milled and then get sent back to Ireland. But the news there is that there will be money and funding available to look at developing large-scale flour mills. And as Kevin said, it's really an integral part of our long-term food security. So there you go, the power of radio summed up for you in one. Now, I didn't mention that we were going to find out why some employees of Athlone headquartered RBK have been finding themselves in some very, very cold water for the month of February. If you've listened to the show over the last 8 years, we've touched on this once or twice. And clearly the crazies in RBK haven't had the sense to stop doing Freezebury. Tonight I'm joined by Lucy Jo McHugh. She's a tax advisor at RBK. Lucy, are you one of the mad ones that is taking part in Freezebury this year?
I certainly am, yes. I thought it was a good idea at the time, but I'm not too sure now once we're getting to the end of the month.
Well, you're not the first person in RBK that has used those pretty much exact words as well. Just give the listeners a quick reminder about what Freezebury is and what you've been doing.
Well, Freezebury is a month-long challenge where participants, they take a cold dip every day in February. So we started with 1 minute and we increased it every day until we reached the end of the month. So 1 minute up to 28 minutes.
So tomorrow morning, 25 minutes in open water?
Tomorrow morning, 25 minutes out on Loughree, so yes. Is
it as pleasant as it sounds?
I'm sure that the first couple of minutes are, but as we get to the 25, 26 minutes, it does get tougher. The waters aren't getting any warmer in February, unfortunately, but it is enjoyable still. Yeah,
it's a huge challenge, and it's definitely not for the faint-hearted, but it's all for a great cause as well. You've raised some good money over the years for different charities. Tell us about this year's charities and how people can get involved.
Yeah, so this year we are raising money for Esker House Domestic Support. It's a refuge based in Athlone, and also for the Little Blue Heroes Foundation. So we're raising money for two great charities there, and I suppose if you can either click the link and either donate or even share our link to get the word out there about what we're doing, that would be amazing.
Exactly. No, it's not for the faint-hearted. Tell us about where you go. Do you pick one location, or can you pick one that's close to your own home? And if so, do you have to document the evidence that you've actually done it?
Well, we have a number of people taking part. So I know a few of us are meeting up in Loughree or Coosan Point most mornings. We have others who are out on Loughrey Lake. I have also taken a trip over to Loughool in Mullingar, just outside Mullingar, as well as we've gone to the outdoor swimming pool over in Banagher. We had a little day trip there, and we got to use the amazing sauna facilities there afterwards, which made it a little bit more palatable for us all.
That's been one thing I've noticed over the few years. In the last maybe 2 to 3 years, the saunas have popped in. They must be so welcome after spending pretty that length of time in open water.
Oh, completely. I mean, even going back into the water after a couple of minutes in the sauna makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I'll take your word for it. One of your former colleagues, Chris Ball, used to often plumose me on air about coming and doing it, and I used to just tell him outright, no, I think it's madness, but it's for a great cause. And how many overall have done it this year with RBK?
The numbers have dwindled this year, but we're still going strong with it. And obviously, Ronan, the offer is always open for you to come out and join us.
That's lovely, and I know that, and I appreciate that. But no, yeah, I'll leave that to you and the absolute professionals, that can take that on. And I can volunteer some of my radio colleagues. Maybe they might take up that offer. But so you've only you have tomorrow morning. You've up on Saturday morning is your last day in the 28th. Thank God it's not a leap year, I suppose.
That's it, exactly. And I suppose it's nice to have it on a Saturday as well. So hopefully we'll get a few more people to come down and support us as well.
Will do. Well,
early afternoon.
Absolutely. No, look, it's a great initiative. They're great causes. And again, it's continuing what's now becoming a tradition there for people in RBK to do it. As I say, you may not see me in the water next year, but all the very best. And start recruiting for next year already. Thanks a million, Lucy Jo.
Thank you very much, Ronan.
Not at all the best, and enjoy the last few days. So there you go, yeah, Freezebury, they just don't give up on it, do they? And I have to say, hats off and fair play to them. Philip Keegan has been an intern here at Midlands 103 for 6 months. He's finished up tomorrow. Might just sign Philip up for that. He's sitting here beside me nodding. He's definitely up for that. I think that would certainly mark an end of his time. You could go tomorrow actually and do a feature on it. That'd be the right thing. We could send him out with a little microphone and a pair of Speedos and see what happens after that. Now, that's it. Time for me to go. I'm going to vacate this seat and let the great Joe Cooney come in and take over. But quick thank you to Orla Martin from Local Enterprise Office Offaly for coming earlier and talking to us about the fantastic range of events and seminars they have on next week for Local Enterprise Week. We heard from Allyson English there from Mody.ie, who will be the MC of an International Women's Day event in the Castlevarra Hotel on Friday of next week as part of Local Enterprise Office Week. We also heard about Alyson's business and their work with lean and digital transformation. And we heard from Colin Kennedy of DPD Ireland about the new €5 million investment in pick up a new service for out-of-home delivery that is going to roll out rapidly across the country. And to Lucy Jo McHugh from RBK there talking to us about Freezebury. So, time for me to get ready to go. Hopefully you enjoyed this evening's show and found it useful. Apologies for the little technical issue there for the second interview. We overcame that. We got to the end. That's always the goal and always the objective. Stay safe. Joe Cooney's coming up next with Country Roads. I'll talk to you all next week.